She had everything: power, access, a golden last name. She had the president's ear. She had America's watching. So, why did Ivanka Trump vanish? And why won't a single American media outlet say the real reason out loud? And stay with me. You know what? When did Ivanka Trump last take a political position? Not once. Why did the most powerful daughter in America history walk away? Why does she tell interviewers she hates politics but still shows up at her father's side? What did 4 years inside the White House cost Ivanka Trump personally? Why did she lost her fashion brand, her New York social circle, and nearly her identity at all at once? What happened? Is the disappearance a choice or is it protection? What does Jared Kushner know that he is not telling America? And why is he quietly managing $3 million in Middle East money while staying 1,000 miles from the White House? What happens when a woman is raised to be the heir and decide she doesn't want to be the throne? And why, of all people, is Ivanka Trump the one who walked away clean? Did you remember that? I'm going to answer every single one of those questions today. And I promise you, by the end of the video, you will never see Ivanka Trump the same way again. I am psychological analyst. I cover the stories of American media is too afraid to tell. Today's story isn't about politics, it's about survival. Ivanka Trump built herself as America's most powerful political daughter. Then she saw something inside that White House that changed everything. And every American family watching right now, this is a pattern. The high achiever who burns bright, then goes completely quiet. The core truth of this video: Ivanka Trump didn't just step away from the power, she chose to survive it. And where does Ivanka Trump's disappearance act actually begin? November 2024, not even 2021, it begins the day she converted to Judaism to marry Jared Kushner. That was Ivanka Trump's first public signal that she was willing to completely reinvent herself. That's not love alone, that's someone who has been trying their whole life to sacrifice personal identity for the right merger. American families see this dynamic every single Thanksgiving. Who made Ivanka Trump and what did that cost her? Donald Trump. Full stop. He paraded her from age 13 as the perfect hair, business, beauty, brand. He called her a great beauty. Public repeatedly in ways that made even his supporters cringe. Holy shit. What that does to this teenage girl's sense of self. Ivanka Trump didn't build her identity. She inherited it. And then she had to perform it on national stage. What did the White House years really take from Ivanka Trump? Her brand, her business, her New York friends, her liberal Manhattan social world dropped her overnight, fucked around and find out. That's exactly what happened. She advocated from politics she personally opposed, smiled through movements that broke her quietly, and shut down her entire fashion company because the ethics questions never stop. Every American family that has sacrificed their dream for someone else's career, knows exactly what that looks like. Was Ivanka Trump ever truly politically independent? Not once. Not a single documented moment where Ivanka Trump publicly broke with her father in any meaningful way. She moderated him behind the closed doors. Sources confirmed that, but she never said it out loud to America. That's not coincidence. That's someone managing a system they know they cannot change. And what was the real warning sign America missed? In 2022, while her father was screaming about stolen elections, Ivanka Trump posted a quiet Instagram statement: I love my father very much. This time I am choosing to prioritize my young children and the private life we are creating as a family. America walked right past it. That wasn't a personal statement, that was a psychological declaration of separation. And almost nobody in America media said a word. The psychology. What is the psychological pattern driving Ivanka Trump's choices? A parentification. That's the clinical term. Parentification occurs when a child is made to function as an emotional or an operational partner for a parent, rather than being allowed to be a child. Ivanka Trump was Donald Trump's surrogate business partner by her teenage years. She was deployed, promoted, and prized as a resource, not just a daughter. Every American who grew up in a high pressure family knows this dynamic from the inside. How did enhancement shape Ivanka Trump's political choices? Enhancement, that's when the boundaries between two peoples collapse entirely. The child's identity was broken and fuses with the parents. Ivanka Trump is a textbook American case study. Her brand, her career, her credibility, all built inside her father's orbit. The moment she stepped outside it, gone. Her fashion label demolished. Her New York world gone. That's not coincidence. That's the work. Happens when enmeshment breaks. Sounds familiar. What is the psychological cost of living in a public guilt cage? Consecutive dissonance. You hold two completely incompatible truths simultaneously. I love my father. My father's behavior is destroying things I care about. Ivanka Trump managed that impossible tensions for 4 years inside the White House. Damn, that take a specific kind of internal strength that most Americans never have to develop. And it leaves marks. Is Ivanka Trump's withdrawal a psychological act of self-preservation? Yes. How? Every credible psychologist frames says yes. She told the Skinny Confidential podcast, I hate politics. There is a darkness to that world, and I don't want to welcome into mine. That's not spine. That's a clinical description of an environment that was threatening her psychological integrity. And the most telling line she said, and I quote, I know the cost and its price I am not willing to make my kids bear. You know, every American parent who has ever protected their children from their own family's chores understands exactly what that means. Why is Jared Kushner's $3 billion Middle East fund central to the disappearance? What happened? Because Ivanka Trump's disappearance from politics is inseparable from Jared Kushner's pivot to money. That day Trump won in 2024, Kushner went on record. I made very clear to them that they should not expect anything from me. While Trump went back to the Washington, Kushner went back to the building Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, 3 billion following through Affinity partners. This is not a family that walks away from power. This is the family that decided private power was smarter than public power. That dog won't hurt in Washington anymore, but it hurts beautifully in Miami. Does Ivanka Trump show signs to narcissistic injury? Narcissistic injury describes the wound that occurs when someone whose identity is built on external validation suddenly loses the validation at scale. Ivanka Trump's brand was cancelled. Her social circle rejected her. She was publicly scolded by both sides and she said nothing. That silence, maintained for years, is not indifference. That is someone managing a deep wound with extraordinary discipline. What was the specific movement? Everything changed for Ivanka Trump. January 6, 2021. Publicly, Ivanka Trump called the writers American patriots, then immediately walked back. But what America never heard was what happened inside the Trump family that day. Sources placed Ivanka as one of the few people who personally pleaded with her father to call off the riot. She reportedly tried multiple times. He didn't listen. And the next week, she and Jared were packing for Miami. You can put lipstick on your pig, but you cannot use this with Ivanka Trump saw that day. And what? Why did her fashion empire really collapse? You know, the official story is ethics pressure. The real story is more human. Major American realtors, Norseman, Neiman, Marcus, Beck, dropped the Ivanka Trump's brand not just for political pressure but from declining sales. American consumers choose, and when the customer left, so did the business. She had built her entire commercial business brand on her family name, and the family name had become radioactive to a core American buying demographic. What happened when Ivanka Trump tried to be her own person? Every time she tried to moderate her father on immigration, on family separation, on the rhetoric, it disappeared in the mission. Like a mission. American media reported the moment she pushed back, and they reported the moment she fell in line for the war. And the chickens came home to roast when she finally admitted on the Skinny Confidential podcast, and she loves publicly and impact but hates politics. America, that's the woman describing a trap she finally escaped from. What is the history hidden story inside the Indian Creek Island mansion? Indian Creek Island, the billionaire's bunker, Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner are neighbors with Tom Brady and Jeff Bezos. She is, by all accounts, genuinely beloved in Miami's social world. After years of being a most scrutinized woman in Washington, she is now a polo playing, surfing, luxury vacation, posting private citizen. She is just enjoying. She is also caring for her 98 years old grandmother who lives with the family. This is not the profile of someone hiding. This is the profile of someone who got out and decided that was enough. That is the real reason nobody in America media will say directly. And because naming it means confronting something uncomfortable about American power. Ivanka Trump, the most prepared, most passionate, most visibly groomed political hire in the modern American history, looked at the White House from the inside and said, not worthy. She walked away from the most powerful seat in the world. And America doesn't have a script for that. The chickens are coming home to roast for a media that built her up as a future and now doesn't know what to do with her answer. And here it's come. Has any American political family produced a similar disappearing hair? Yes, it's there. Ron Reagan Jr., son of President Ronald Reagan refused to follow his fathers into politics, becoming a ballet dancer, then a journalist. He once father said privately he didn't understand it. But Ron Reagan Jr. looked at American political life and chose self-determination over dynasty. Ivanka Trump's situation maps directly, sounds familiar. What about Chelsea Clinton's comparison to Ivanka Trump? Chelsea Clinton is also grew up as a president's daughter. She also craved out a private life, but she has remained for more politically engaged than Ivanka Trump has. The difference, Chelsea Clinton was never parentified the way Ivanka Trump was. She was protected from the spotlight during childhood. Ivanka Trump was deployed into it. That's the core American family dynamic difference that nobody talks about. And what does the case of Carolyn Bessetti Kennedy teaches us? You know what? Carolyn Bessetti Kennedy married into American political royalty and immediately began disappearing from her own life. She became an extension of the Kennedy brand. Her personal identity, her fashion career, her friendships, her sense of self eroded. The psychological parallels of Ivanka Trump's first term experiences are eerie. The difference is Carolyn Bessetti Kennedy had no exit. Ivanka Trump found hers. Sound familiar, right? What does Ivanka Trump's pattern predict about the next 5 years? Every source close to the family says that same thing. She does quiet investing, she raises her children, she stays out of the noise. But one detail matters. Jared Kushner is still the outside advisor on Middle East policy. He is still managing swords and wealth from America's most strategic allies. The family is not gone. The house simply found a smarter orbit, not the rodeo. It's the next one that America should watch for. And the verdict and the conclusion here is the real truth about Ivanka Trump's disappearance. America built a dynasty story, father, daughter, power, legacy. And Ivanka Trump looked at the story from the inside and chose her children over all of it. And not because she was weak, because she was the only one in the family who understood the cost. She told America directly, I know the cost, and it is a price I am not willing to make by my kids' beer. And in 30 years of covering American political families on her, has ever said that out loud. Ivanka Trump did not disappear. She escaped. The America still doesn't know what to do with a woman who walked away from the throne. And here is my question to every American watching it right now. In there a moment in your life, a moment when you had everything you were supposed to want, a moment and you knew quietly that you had to walk away, tell me in the comments below. I read every single one. I will read. I'm waiting for your opinion as a comment. Thank you. Thank you very much.